Very soon, Doctor Who will return to our screens, with a new showrunner, new doctor, and maybe one of the most distinctly new eras the show could undergo ever. Very exciting stuff. But how accommodating will it be to newbies? Will it act like a soft reset, like Smith and Jones? Or maybe it'll be incredibly entrenched on previous characters and stuff you already have to be very, very privy on, like Deep Breath. And here's the thing with a show that has encompassed 50 years. Different stories, companions, main actors, and production teams. I'm here today to give you 5 points of entry into the Doctor Who series, because it really isn't as scary as it looks. Number 1, Rose. This is how I started. This is how so many started with the revival in 2005. This episode requires no prior knowledge, and it feels so fresh because of it. A fantastic pilot with all the wonder, warmth and cheesiness of Eccleston's era. Now some fans skip this Doctor, but as previously established, if you skipped a Tennant, I skip you. Series 1 is looking a little low res these days, but that doesn't stop it from being the best jumping on point for New Who. In an alternate world with an inferior showrunner, Series 1 would have rebooted the show entirely. Luckily, the showrunner at this time, Rusty Davies, was a genius, and Series 1 of the revival is fresh and faithful. New Who is very good, it's hammy in all the right ways, but if you're willing to delve into some classic Who, the quickest shortcut to this, to the show's golden years, is season 12 of the older series. See, the 2005 reboot is technically the 27th series, and that sounds a lot more intimidating than it actually is. Season 12 consists of the stories Robot, The Ark in Space, The Sontaran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, and Revenge of the Cybermen. As Tom Baker's introductory run, you can be sure to never get lost in some rich continuity, on some thick tapestry that only the nerdiest of nerds like me can decode. No, it's very welcoming to newcomers. The Doctor is a face-changing, time-travelling do-gooder who can go anywhere and any when. That is the single greatest pitch for a television show ever made. And because the TARDIS lands somewhere completely different every single week, Doctor Who is rather episodic, meaning that most of the time it is very easy just to jump in. These were my first stories, for example, completely random, scattered. But problems then arise when the show gets a bit too tangled up in its own mythology. This happened a lot in the 1980s, which is why so many people regard this season, this specific era of the show, as the Golden Age. Starting in 1974, wow, how did I know that off the top of my head? Jesus Christ. This was arguably Doctor Who at its most iconic peak of popularity. The Fourth Doctor, his scarf, Sarah Jane Smith, Would You Like a Jelly Baby? And Davros. The famous iconography is remembered with good reason. Things don't just become classics randomly. Season 12 is so fondly regarded that just earlier this month, they released it on a Blu-ray collection. The only series to get the special treatment. Personally, these aren't my favourite stories ever. Take it with a pinch of salt, context and bubble wrap, and you'll find a lot of charm in these stories. It does bear reminding that a lot of these stories were created on a low BBC budget in the 70s, but that's all part of the magic. The Sontaran Experiment has a great plot even for today's standards, and Genesis of the Daleks is often cited as the greatest episode of the show ever made. Robot, Ark in Space and Cybermen though? I understand I'm the outlier minority on that one though, so enjoy Season 12. Number 3, Series 10. 2017 series is not the best outing the show has ever had. Only a couple stories really stand out in the well of mediocrity, but it'd still make a perfect first season. Moffat finally introduces a new companion in the form of Bill. Bill starts with such promise. She supplies a new set of eyes into the premise of the show. It's the closest Doctor Who has ever come to a straightforward soft reboot. But if there's one thing the show adores, it is hanging on to its 50-year mythology to a very nostalgic degree. But season 10, nah, you get none of that. All you get is some hardcore Capaldi. The first episode is literally called The Pilots, and chooses to follow the companion as the protagonist, much like Rose did. As far as reinventions go, Moffat's last season was a weird place for one. but in the lore-laden arcs of Moffat's run, it was very needed. Sometimes, Doctor Who just needs to simplify, and that's what these stories are best at doing. Number 3, the original main range, Big Finish. I couldn't go one video without mentioning Big Finish. The audio adventures are so consistently good that the main range has essentially become vital listening. Now, this library really is huge, and sometimes still confuses even me, but a great way to start is with a vanilla standalone adventure. Great stories for starter packs include Time Reaver, Storm Warning, Memory Lane, 100, Energy of the Daleks, and the box set Classic Doctor's New Monsters. Yeah, these are all fantastic stories, and even better, you'll be able to follow it A-OK. Trust me, you do not want your first audio story to be Zagreus or something. That would be a mistake. A hilarious mistake. If somebody could actually please do that, actually. Let me know how that goes. Anyway, you're choosing hard mode by going to Big Finish first, but it's a hard mode that will reward you very quickly, with some of the best writing and acting the franchise has ever seen. There's also a bunch of these completely free on Spotify right this second. They're just sitting there. Just a reminder. Honest to God, I think somebody could easily start Doctor Who with Big Finish, because the amount of variety is just unparalleled. And finally, Series 5, The 11th Hour. It's weird that such a self-referential showrunner like Stephen Moffat alienated so many viewers, when he's actually provided new viewers with simple, solid stories for beginners. The 11th Hour is another of these. Sure, he tried to shake them off with Series 6 and 7, but Matt Smith's first series is many people's favourite. New TARDIS, new Doctor, new companions with minimal dependence on previous lore. See, you can't actually just start with any incarnation of the Doctor. Jumping in with Tennant or Capaldi the second he regenerates is actually not a good game plan at all. You see, those Doctors actually inherited huge concepts based on the previous Doctor. Imagine jumping straight into Avengers Infinity War without seeing any of the other movies. A question I'm sure you've asked is, Sam, why don't I just start on Series 1, Episode 1? Yeah, and obviously with the first Doctor that does make sense, but good luck marathoning a show that started in 1963. Doctor Who, at the end of the day, is very episodic. It's a very serialized sci-fi show. You can start on most stories, and only a bunch of them require a real requisite, but you can still probably follow what's going on. Starting a show like this, or even getting better acquainted with Classic Who or Big Finish, seems like homework. Sometimes it might seem like a chore, and it really doesn't have to be. A lot of Doctor Who is just designed to be accessible to all. So watch Rose, then watch the episode Dalek, those are the only two essential ones, and boom. From there, you can really just jump around at your own leisure. They're all on Netflix, right? The 2010 series is a great place to start. The production budget even steps up, and the show is basically unrecognisable. This whole episode is so unique. Though be wary, if you take this route, be wary of episode 3. The Victory of the Daleks is fucking terrible. And there we go. 5 different options for Doctor Who Begins. Enjoy, because if you haven't started this show before, I am so jealous. Thank you for watching, and long live Doctor Who.